Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back to M&D Legal Consults. My name is Musumuluwa Akomolidi and I am the founder partner of M&D Legal Consults. On this channel, we assist you in leveling up in your business transactions legally, assisting you in protecting your intellectual property, also your technology transactions and property transactions. So if this kind of content you would love to enjoy, please do subscribe down below and also hit the notification bell to know when next we post. You don't want to miss any upload from us. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the differences between a company registration and a business registration. We get asked a lot about this particular topic, and we also just decided that let us just bring it here so that we can enlighten and also educate you all regarding this. So in this particular video, I'm going to be showing some slides that I would advise that you pay attention to the details, and just as well as the explanation I'm going to be giving in this particular video. All right, so let's go. What you need to know, the first thing you need to know is what is a business name. It's very important to establish the meaning of a business name, because you want to register a business, right? So you want to know what a business name is that is under the law. And so what, according to our own definition, which we've made to be simple, and to be simple, we've simplified it enough for you to understand, is a business name is one that is registrable under the CAC, which is the Corporate Affairs Commission, which is the regulatory body for registration of business and company name here in Nigeria, because I'm operating from Nigeria. Or it could be the regulatory body in the country wherever you are watching this video from. So in the country where the business will be operating, it's very important that the business gets registered in that particular under that particular regulatory body in that country. So what you should also understand is that when you want to register a business name, you should know that the business name should not be misleading. It should not cause confusion or any form of conflict, in the sense that when you want to think of a business name, before you even want to consider registering it, CAC would conduct a search. And this search is to make sure that the business name that you want to register is not in conflict with another or an existing business name that has been registered under the commission, or the business name does not intend to mislead or does not contain any illegal word or character that could cause problem to the public. So you should also take note of this before you even want to submit your application, so that you would not get rejection every single time when you want to submit your business name registration. So also your business name, a business name can either be a sole proprietor or a partnership. So a sole proprietor in the sense that you alone as a person, you can decide to register that business, and you can just be the only person running the business. A partnership is you and another person or two more people come together to form the business. That is what we call partnership. So it can either be a partnership, or it can either be as a proprietorship under the business name registration. So what is now company registration, as we've discussed on business registration? Company registration is a bit more technical. There are some other things that you need to note more on the company name registration. So if you want to register a company name, or you want to register a company, you should understand that a company name is registered as an entity. It is registered as a separate entity from its owner or its director under the CAC. So a company being a separate entity is powerful enough to own and manage assets in its own name. It is powerful enough to represent itself in its own name. It doesn't have to be in the name of the director. It doesn't have to be in the name of the owner. It is alone a legal and separate entity. So it is either registered as a private limited liability, which is limited. They call it limited. You can call it LTD, where the liability of the members are limited by the shares that they have in the company. So when it comes to company registration, or it comes to company, you'll be hearing things like shares, share capital. Oh, this is a shareholder in this company. This is a member which he has shares in this particular company. So that is what I mean. So when it comes to a private limited liability company, the liability of the members in that company is limited to the shares that they contribute in the company. So it can also be registered, a company can also be registered as a publicly limited company, which is called PLC, where the company is publicly owned by the government. So there are different other types of company, but we are not really going to dive into that. If you want a separate video on that, let us know so that we can create a different video. So this particular video is just to make you understand if you need to actually register a company or you need to register a business, which is suitable for you and what you want to do. And so a company has numerous advantages, and it has its own privileges, right? A business name also has its own, but a company has more, in our own opinion. So let us move to the next slide. So what you also need to know is the differences, which is what we are really talking about today. The first difference you want to know is that once a business name has been registered, it is not a separate entity from its owner. So the owner's assets are still tied to the business. You can, even if it's a business name, even if it's registered, it being registered is has made it a legal, it has made it legal under the law. It has made it legal, and it's guided and it's under the rules and regulation as stipulated in CAC or under CAC. So the business owner can do whatever he wants to do regarding, as regards to the object, or the principal activity of the business. But the business and the owner, they are still together, they are still one. The owner is not separated from the business. The business alone cannot stand. That is what I mean. It cannot stand without the owner being in that business, or being in operation, or the owner's name being in different operations, different contracts executed by the business. That business cannot stand if the business owner's name is not in those papers, right? So, but when it comes to company, there are some companies that you don't even know the name of the director, you don't even know the name of the owner. The company alone is a separate legal entity. It can stand on its own. It alone can, but it can execute contracts, documents, papers in its own name. It can manage and own assets. It can accumulate assets. It can purchase land, property in its own name. That is what I mean. So once a company's name is registered, it is a separate entity, separated from its owners, its directors, its shareholders. So that is what I basically mean. The second difference is that for a business name, it does not end with Ltd, PLC, or LTE. So when you see a business, when you see an entity or a business or a company name, just know that once you don't see Ltd, you don't see PLC, you don't see LTE at the end of that name that has been registered, you know that it is a business name. It is not a company at all. So for company name has to either end with Ltd, has to either end with PLC or LTE, or if it's a company limited by guarantee, it also has to end with the letters that it has to end with. So it has to end with the letters designated for it to be ended with when it comes to a company name. Then the third one is that when it comes to business name, you don't hear anything about shareholders. There's nothing like directors. There's nothing like shareholders. What you hear mostly is sole proprietor or partner, right? So when it comes to business name, you don't hear that. But when it comes to company, you will hear something like shareholders, because there is a share capital. The share capital is the amount of shares that the company has decided to start with. So this shares is not actual money. It is just shares, right? It is the amount of shares that the company wants to start with. So I believe you understand what I'm trying to say. So when it comes to company, you will hear a director, you will hear a shareholder. A director doesn't have to be a shareholder, but a shareholder has to be a member. A shareholder is also a member of the company, because the person is also contributing to the growth of the company. So a shareholder can be a director, but a director does not necessarily have to be a shareholder in the company. So the other difference is when it comes to a business, you will not hear anything like memorandum and articles of association. That one is for a company. Why? Is because the memorandum and the articles of association forms the constitution of the company. That is what guides the operation of the company, especially the articles of association. It guides the operation of the company and what the company is, how the company wants to operate, how the company wants to deal with its members, how the company wants to share profits, how the company wants to wind up at the end of the day, probably if the company wants to close the business, the process, and all of that. So that is what those documents are going to carry. So the next thing you have to also understand is that if you want to register a business name, this is for people that you want to register a business name. You should know that, okay, you do not have the budget for a company name registration. So if you don't have a budget for for a company registration, definitely do register a business name. And this is because if you register a business name and maybe peradventure you start expanding, your business expands and all of that, you can decide to convert it into a company. Yes, there's conversion. You can convert your business into a company under the CAC. So this is very possible. So I would advise that if you don't have the budget for a company name, please start with a business name. Then also, if you are new in the business journey and you're trying to test the waters before you invest fully, also very important, please try and register a business first. If it's a new business you are trying to venture into and you are not really sure if the business is going to make so much profit, but you want to try anyways, you can start the business. You don't have to register a company yet. You can start the business, start as a business name. The third one is that if you do not you don't have a lot of business assets, you don't even have a lot of personal assets that can be tied to your business, you can start a business, right? So the last one is the kind of business that, if it's the kind of business that does not require a foreign participation or technology involvement, because there are some particular businesses that you cannot register as a business name. It's very important that you register it as a company. So if the business you want to venture into is a business that does not deal with, probably, for example, exporting, importing, you are trying to, you're trying to get foreign investors, probably expatriates and all of that. You should know that if it's that kind of business or that kind of nature, you would have to register it as a company for more opportunities and for a larger range of privilege and opportunities rather. So when it also involves technological involvement, you know that you have to think big and register it as a company. But if it does not, then you can go ahead to register it as a business. So also for a company, if you have the budget to start the company, depending on the type of company, because the truth is there are some companies that need a bigger budget. For example, if you want to start a bank, and you want to start a food business, right, or a food company, you would know that a bank would require more budget than a food company, right? So it also depends on the nature of the company. But if you have a bigger budget, you can start a company. And also, if you are ready to bring in shareholders, you are ready to bring in investors to invest in the company, you can start your company. If you want investors like almost immediately, you want shareholders, you can start your start so you can register your company and bring in shareholders and investors. The third one is the nature of the business you are venturing into. If it requires that you register it as a company, like I said earlier, you need to register it as a company. And the last one is if you intend for your company to own its assets separately. If you want your company to have assets in its own name, you can. It's very important register as a company. If you want your business assets, your company's assets to be separated from your own personal assets, from your own portfolio, you need to register as a company. Very, very important. So, with all this I've said, which would you choose? Which do you think that would profit you or benefit you at this particular time of your your journey, your business journey? Which one do you think? Is it a business name or a company name? Let us know at the comment section below. You can just leave your comments. If it's a business name, then explain why. If it's a company name, explain why, to like to know or hear your views at the comment section below. And also don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Very, very important. If you have other questions, we will leave our details at the description box, our links, our so that you can message us directly. And if you want more further consultation and inquiries, let us know at the comment section below. And also, this is a disclaimer: this particular content is not intending to create a client relationship. We are just trying to provide information. We are trying to give knowledge, also to educate you on some things that you really need to know in your business journey. So for more information, I would advise rather that you consult your research, or you browse online, or you can send us an email or a message for further consultation and inquiries on particular subjects. So thank you all again for watching this video. I hope you learned one or few things, and we will see you in our next video. Thank you and take care.